Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Double Tap on YouTube. Today on the show, we are going to learn all about an app that can help you if you have low vision better see your smartphone. But before that, we're going to talk all about Apple Vision Pro from someone who's just written on the topic. Now, Rebokeh Rosenberg is the CEO and founder of Rebokeh, the app that we're going to be talking about a bit later. Rebokeh, great to have you here on Double Tap with me.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, before we talk about your company, because I do want to talk about that, I have to ask you about Vision Pro, right? Because everyone's talking about Vision Pro, and I'll be totally honest with you, it gets the numbers up on YouTube when we mention Vision Pro. I don't know why that is. Why is everybody so obsessed? I cannot imagine. But you got hands-on with it, right? And you spent some time with it. I want to kind of wind back to the beginning of the experience for you, because I think you were expecting, as I think a lot of us were expecting, the stores to be absolutely crowded when it came to this, making its appearance. And, well, tell us your experience.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely what I expected. I have done iPhone launch day several years in a row now, just because I have to keep up kind of with the iPhones for the sake of what our company is building. And, usually I get a midday time slot to go pick it up, and it's like an hour-long event. You're waiting online, and then you finally get checked in, and they send you to the back table, and then they talk to you, and then, someone's got to go run to the back to get it. And it takes some time. Same Apple store that I normally go to in Maryland, and I got like a 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., something like that, time slot to pick up our Apple Vision Pro on launch day, so I think it was February 2nd. And I rounded the corner expecting to see this enormous line out the door. I think the mall didn't close until 9. So there was still a good amount of time for people to have come in to get a demo or to pick one up or, just try it. And I was shocked to see that not only was there no line, there was no even queue set up as though there had been a line. And when I got into the store, there were very few people in the store, and almost none of them were anywhere near the Vision Pros. And I was like, do people not realize that no matter what happens next, this is a historic day? Whether this is, like I kind of say in the article, the most expensive flopped product of all time, or it completely revolutionizes how we work and live and entertain ourselves. Either way, this is a huge day, and the barrier to being involved in that is so low to just go and get a demo. I was shocked. I was shocked that there was nobody there.
But that's surprising, actually, because you would imagine that there's going to be lots of interest, at least, maybe not people buying, but at least trying.
Yeah, exactly. It was the demos were free.
Yeah, it's like you weren't paying for it.
Yeah.
Very un-Apple. But yeah, I mean, that's cool, right? So you could actually go along, you could get the demo, you could decide, and you didn't have to buy it, like you say, there's no need to buy it, but you could at least get a shot of it. Now, you did actually go in to try it, right? And this is the bit that interests me, because I've been talking here on the show and on this YouTube channel and everywhere else about the fact that for me as a blind person, I'm just not entirely convinced it's for me or for blind people. But for low vision people and for people with full sight, well, like you say, it's either going to be amazing or a complete flop.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have some very fresh takes on the Apple Vision Pro, because initially, I said, so I have albinism, and so my vision impairment is not correctable by any means that we currently have available to us. I do, with that said, have glasses, and they help a tiny bit in certain very specific circumstances. So I wear them when I drive, and I wear them when I was in school. I would wear them in class. Those are the only situations where they make enough of a difference for me to actually go through the process of putting them on my face. So when I initially got the Vision Pro, when we bought one, I was like, I'm not going to waste my time on these Zeiss lenses I don't know anything about. I'm just going to go in and give it a try with my regular vision. And, I have written now extensively about what that experience was like, and some of the, I think, pros and many of the cons around. I felt like I really needed to use a lot more of the accessibility features on the Apple Vision Pro than I normally have to do on my laptop or on my phone. normally my text size is just a little bit bigger on those other devices, but on the Vision Pro, it was like I needed the special zoom magnifier that shows up in the middle of the screen in order to navigate myself around. I was playing with all the different eye tracking options, trying to figure out what I could get to work best with my nystagmus. And then yesterday, so I had ordered the Zeiss lenses once I had played with the Vision Pro a little bit, and I said I'm gonna give the Zeiss lenses a try. It seems like an experience that might actually be enhanced by the little bit of difference that wearing those lenses makes. And I put them into the Vision Pro last night for the first time, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, this is what this experience is supposed to be like.
Big difference.
The eye tracking got better. The clarity of a number of things got better. My ability to feel like I could sit in it for a longer amount of time got better. And so I just was actually really very shocked at, especially for the eye tracking to have gotten better. Like, there were a number of things that I struggled with really early on, getting the cursors to recognize where I was looking, because I do have nystagmus and I have one eye that sort of turns into my nose when I'm looking at anything that is considered to be at a distance. And so I was surprised that just the addition of those like Zeiss lenses in my prescription, and I have a high prescription, that was able to really make such a big difference, especially in its ability to track where I was looking. I just thought that was very interesting.
Have you noticed that before? Because it's funny you say that, because I same as you, I have nystagmus, and my vision overall has got bigger problems because of my optic nerves not growing properly. Thanks, optic nerves. But yeah, woo indeed. I love it that, I can say to people, I've got like a multiple eye conditions. I've got more than you. And it's like, yay. And we have a big competition. That's the worst competition ever. But, the nystagmus part used to really irritate me because, like you say, it was always there. It was always prevalent. I don't know if you notice, it always gets worse when you're in stressful environments or anything stressful. It's like, everything starts. And I didn't think that would be able to be relaxed by lenses. That's interesting.
I'm not even sure. So this is where my engineering brain comes in. I'm not even sure it was as much about the fact that the nystagmus was better in a situation where I was wearing glasses, as much as, and this is total speculation, but it's possible that because the lenses affect the way the Vision Pro is able to see your eye, that maybe it was looking at either a smaller or a larger part of the pupil or the retina, and it just was able to sort of, like, the nystagmus was almost not canceled out, but it just didn't make as much of a difference because the Vision Pro in itself, looking at your eye to figure out where you were looking, was looking at a more specific or smaller part, such that the effect of the nystagmus was significantly less. Total speculation. But
yeah, but you say this from the engineering point of view, right? And I wonder about your take on this, because from what people have told me, the Apple Vision Pro eye tracking is quite different to what might be considered the more professional standard eye tracking. It's kind of almost like a camera just looking at your eyes, right? It's not following your pupil or anything. I don't think.
That's my understanding, is that they do just have kind of basically retinal cameras that are on the inside that are looking at where your eye is and how it moves. I'm not an expert on how they have that set up exactly what the industry standard is. But it's very possible that just the effect that the lenses have on that camera's ability to see your eye minimizes the effect of the nystagmus.
I mean, it's working for you, right? I mean, and have you tried it since then? Have you tried it a couple of different times, different scenarios? Because I guess tiredness as well has a big impact on nystagmus.
That is a problem that I did see continue to exist even with the lenses, is that after about 12 minutes in the Vision Pro, my eyes are like, whoa, what is going on? And the nystagmus gets significantly worse.
And your eyes must get tired.
Yes. And you can, I can feel within 10 or 12 minutes of having it on that the eye tracking stops working quite as well, because my eyes are tired and now the nystagmus is worse. And there's a setting in there that allows you to, it's called, I think, reduce eye movements or something. So the Vision Pro will ignore basically those rapid eye movements. I have found that doesn't do anything. Maybe it's just me. It's very possible to work for other people who maybe have more sway in their nystagmus. Mine is more of like a jitter and less of kind of a sway. But I didn't find that setting to be entirely useful.
So it must really irritate you, though. I mean, it would irritate me, I think. I know it's kind of past my point of use, so I'm not going to buy one because I'm never going to be able to get anything out of this thing. So it kind of annoys me on your behalf that you can't get any enjoy, because I want you to enjoy it. I want you to love it, and you can, right? You're getting those 10 minutes, and let's just maybe park the visual impairment side for a second. What are those 10 minutes like? What is it like in that world?
I mean, it's really cool. And it's hard to even, I think, describe. It is, I have tried other virtual reality, augmented reality devices. This is just on another level. It really, especially in, I think it's called pass-through mode, when you can see what is actually around you. So in my case, it's usually my kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, it really refreshes incredibly quickly on what's going on in the real world. And the way that they're kind of able to make things appear as though they have depth, when you know that what your eyes are actually looking at on the Vision Pro is just a screen.
Yeah.
It's really incredible the way that things look like they have depth, and how the Vision Pro really has an incredible ability to know where it is. And so you can kind of put, your Safari tabs in, your living room, and you can walk into the kitchen and you can set up your other Safari tab for your, cooking that you're doing. And when you walk back into the living room, your Safari browser is still exactly where it was before. It really...
Yeah, you've left Google Chrome in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. It really knows where it is, and it knows where you are, and it knows how to connect you with all of those things. I think one of the things that I have found most interesting, if only because it's like a little weird, is the persona. So I did an interview several weeks ago in the Vision Pro, and so I had to set up my persona, which is basically like this holographic version of your upper body. And you kind of have to set up in the Vision Pro that you're going to take these pictures, and then you take the device off and you turn it around to face yourself, and you scan your upper body with the device. And it is creepy. The output is really very scary, especially when
it's kind of real, but it's not real, isn't it? It's that kind of...
It really hits the uncanny valley very hard. And especially, not so much that it's not a great scan, as when it tries to mimic the facial expressions that you're making, and it just, at this point, we just can't replicate some of the nuances of these facial expressions, and it looks sort of stiff, and it looks really creepy, but still very cool. Still way better than I actually would have expected it to be. That's
maybe the creepy part, right? It actually looks quite good, and it's kind of freaking you out a little bit. Yeah,
exactly.
Are you going to keep it? You're going to keep Vision Pro?
I am going to keep it. If I think what I'm really hoping is that, and this goes into what we kind of do at Rebokeh, is our technology allows people to use their smartphone cameras to enhance the way that they see the world. And so we allow people to make contrast adjustments, exposure, different colors, with this proprietary software that enables people to do this right now with their phones. It's a really clear next step for this technology to be in something like the Vision Pro. We have built native for iOS. Rebokeh actually downloads onto Vision Pro. The issue is that Apple has at this point not given developers access to the forward-facing cameras on the device. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I understand what they are. There's privacy concerns, security concerns, but what we're really hoping is that, Apple is taking note of these conversations that we're having and they are open to providing developers who have maybe, agreed to a certain standard of security and privacy and who have legitimate use cases for those forward-facing cameras to actually allow us to make use of them, so that people like that TikToker who was blind, who talked about, using the Vision Pro, that we can allow people like myself and like him to use the Vision Pro as a piece of assistive technology with Rebokeh's software, or with other companies' softwares for other types of disabilities. And so we are going to keep it, and we're hoping that we'll be able to move in that direction of being able to use it as an assistive technology, which I think is only good for Apple because it expands the use cases for this thing that they put a lot of money into making, and that is, I think, seeing slow adoption from what I am hearing.
Yeah, and let's be honest, this is out for beta testing by developers. Let's be honest about it. I mean, it's not a product most people are going to go out and buy. It's US only for a start. That's always interesting to me, that they haven't decided to sell this around the world yet. That's going to be Gen 2, maybe even Gen 3. We're going to start to get closer to, I think, what Apple's own vision is on this product. But because I do feel, I don't know if you feel this, but I feel that the hardware itself is the limitation at the moment. And we have to bear in mind how long this has been in production for. Things will ramp up, things will change very quickly, I'm sure, as they have new ideas. But going back to your point about your app in particular, Rebokeh, I find this really interesting because this is exactly why I say this is not necessarily a product for blind people like me, but for someone like you, this is ideal, because for people with low vision, it's apps like yours that are going to make this device not just usable, but enjoyable. This is where we've got to get to. And this device, I mean, I think of so many, and I'm sure you do too. There are lots of products on the market, specialist devices like headsets and all the rest. They cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. Yeah. And, they can't do half the things this can do, if even a quarter of the things Apple Vision Pro can do. Imagine you could do all that, watching Netflix, chilling out, I don't know, taking videos of your cat or whatever it is, and, enjoying life, having all that fun time in a color contrasted world with loads of large text, and that'd be so cool, right?
I mean, absolutely. That is exactly where we're hoping to get to. There are pieces of dedicated assistive technology that are 5, 7, sometimes 10 years behind where we actually are in terms of modern technology, that are going for $3,500. And so if instead of that, we could put the $3,500 that people would otherwise be spending on that piece of technology towards something that, like you're saying, is not only a piece of assistive technology, but also an ability to do all of these other things and to have all of these other options for Netflix and pictures and, cat videos and all of those things. It feels like a no-brainer to me.
So tell people who haven't downloaded your app yet what they would experience if they went off and downloaded it today. And what is it available for? Is it only on iPhone? Is it on Android as well?
Right now, we are iOS only, and the reason for that is just that we are a young, early company, and in order to provide a really quality experience with the advanced image processing and the AI that we're doing, we have to build native for each platform. And so about 85% of people with vision impairments are on iOS devices because of their better onboard accessibility features. And so that was where we chose to start. We do want to have an Android version in the future. It is, and if anybody out there is willing to do some grant funding for that, we would love to actually do that development. It just has not been able to happen quite yet. So the way that Rebokeh works is we're basically allowing you to use your smartphone as both a digital magnifier and also a distance viewing device at the same time. And so you're able to use that combination of really good cameras to adjust contrast, adjust brightness, exposure, adjust colors, add different inversion filters like, color inversions, the yellow on blue, the yellow on black, all of those things. You can upload pictures to Rebokeh and make all of those adjustments. You can save combinations of settings that you like in certain environments. You can enable the flash on your camera at the same time, or the flash on your phone at the same time that you're using Rebokeh, which seems like an interesting use case until you have a black cat that likes to hide under your bed and you like don't know if she's there unless, you know, you're using the flash and the Rebokeh camera at the same time. And so the app is actually available with some of those basic features for free. What we're actually doing now is working with organizations to basically sponsor the full version of Rebokeh in their physical spaces. And so specifically, we're working with some museums now to actually enable in their space automatically when people who have Rebokeh or people who download Rebokeh while they're in those places, automatically the full extent of features unlock within our geofences within those spaces. And so as we are announcing who those partners are, you know, we definitely encourage people to go check out the full version and see a museum while they're at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think it's great because, you know, you're saying yourself, I mean, you know, young, you're starting out in this world to some degree, but, you know, you've got this great app, but there is a reality here. You've got to eat, right? I mean, I assume you want to eat.
I really like to eat.
Yeah, I do too. And thank goodness you can only see what you can see of me. But, you know, I like to eat. And, you know, for that reason, you need to get paid. And this is the challenge for developers, isn't it, right now? The challenge is making something that's great. You've got the great idea, but it's monetizing it. And sometimes I guess apps like this can feel, it almost feels like ethically challenging to monetize. But you've got to do it, right? So how do you square that circle? Yeah,
no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It was, you know, it's something we dealt with for a long time. I think the challenge, sort of the duality of the problem is that people with disabilities are, I think, the world's largest minority. And at the same time, we are oftentimes, as a society, putting those people in places where they are low income, or they're, you know, not necessarily able to pay for the things that would make their lives better. And so that was sort of why initially, when we launched the Rebokeh app, we wanted it to be for free. We wanted to lower the burden of cost on people. And I think we did the economics really early on, and we said, even if you count in how expensive it would be to like buy an iPhone to use Rebokeh, you are still paying less than you would for most pieces of dedicated assistive technology. Yeah. And so that felt kind of good to us. And then we said, okay, you know, this sort of basic version, you know, people like it. We have users in 100 countries all over the world. And then we said, you know, let's build some additional features and set that up so that individuals can purchase it at what is really a subsidized rate. So right now it's USD $2.99 a month for the full version of Rebokeh. And that is obviously, like you're saying, kind of a highly subsidized for individuals. And what we found was that organizations were really interested in Rebokeh, and that our users were specifically using it in certain types of places. And so we said, you know, this might be a good opportunity to kind of take this cost burden off of individuals and, you know, allow organizations at the same time to improve their accessibility and make people with low vision feel welcomed in those spaces. Something I talk about a lot is the challenges of a lot of accessibility initiatives to replace vision for people with vision impairments. Like, they jump right to audio descriptions or tactile tours. And those are great. There's absolutely a population of people that need that. But about 85% of people with vision impairment have some usable functional vision still. And a vast majority of those people, for one reason or another, want to be able to use that. And so these organizations are kind of like missing the vast majority of the people they're trying to serve by jumping right to those audio and tactile options only. And so that's kind of a conversation that we're trying to have right now around, you know, the research has been done, and low vision people, specifically, I'll use the museum example, do feel left out. They feel like there's nothing there for them because they don't feel like their vision's bad enough to warrant going on a tactile tour. But they also can't see anything. And so what Rebokeh is trying to do is really bridge that gap for people and for organizations.
That is fascinating. I have to say that's you're so right in that. And you know, it's funny because you only ever think from where you are, right? So I know growing up I was the partially sighted guy, never really fitted in, didn't fit into the sighted people who were, you know, the guys that were buying their first car, you know, and I'm like, well, I'm not one of them. And then I wasn't a blind guy and I didn't read Braille, so I couldn't get in with those guys. So it was kind of stuck in the middle. And I think it's something I used to talk about a lot, actually, and don't so much talk about anymore because of what's happened and vision's just got worse. So I've kind of fallen over to the blind camp, if you like. But it's so true, you know, that low vision people are the most underrepresented, actually, because no one speaks for anyone, really, any of them. They all, I think, not all, but there's a lot of people I think feel left out. And sometimes they don't want to be part of, I know I didn't growing up. I didn't want to be part of the blind club. I wanted to be part of the sighted club, but I couldn't be. So I kind of edged over there and tried to be friendly with those people. And I think there's a lot of that goes on, and it's difficult. And as you say, you know, that's a brilliant example. You go to an event and, you know, there are options available and people won't use them. I cited an example recently of someone in a train who was struggling to read their phone, you know, Android phone, couldn't read the text on it. Yeah. And I explained to her, you know, you can go into accessibility settings and you can increase the font size. And she said, oh, I can't go in there. That's not for me. And I often found that quite fascinating that they think that way, you know, but it's true. I suppose you do.
Absolutely. And especially with what I have seen, adults who are, be it just regular age-related vision loss or some sort of, you know, disorder, who have been normally sighted their whole lives and are now experiencing some amount of vision loss. They don't think of themselves as low vision. They don't think of themselves as disabled in any way, shape, or form. They don't think of themselves as, like you said, being in a position to use accessibility settings. And that is part of, you know, the conversation that we have with organizations about Rebokeh, is that it's so, I guess to use the same word, it's so accessible even to those people who are like, oh no, I don't need a low vision tool. I'm fine. It's just a smartphone app. And so the barrier to feeling like you're adopting something that is this big piece of medical technology that in order to use, you have to admit even just to yourself that, you know, you're having a challenge. Like, we can bypass that. We can just allow people to use a device that they're comfortable with, that is discreet, and then they can totally customize what their experience looks like to the extent that they see fit.
It's a lot more than an app you're building, right? I mean, it's almost you're building a community with this, which I think is something that's been needed for a long time. There needs to be almost like an acceptance of low vision as a serious thing, but you know, in its own right, it needs its own category. And I feel for a long time that hasn't been the case, and you're kind of bringing that to life, which is fascinating. You must love what you're doing, right? I
do. This has been, I mean, incredibly rewarding. I started this company when I was 21. And before,
and you're only 22.
I'm 26 next week.
Oh, you're so still just a baby.
I'm small still. You know, but before I started this company, I had never met anybody else with a vision impairment, let alone like I think one guy that I went to high school with. We didn't know one another very well. But this has really, you know, I don't think I even quite realized all of the things that I experience until, even more specifically, I started to connect with other people who have albinism, who, you know, I wear an Apple Watch normally. And I normally, when I look at it, it's so close to my face that it makes more sense for me to like navigate it with my nose than it does for me to like bring my other hand like all the way up to navigate it. And I never really thought anything of it. And people would like make fun of me in my regular life. They're like, what are you using your nose for? I'm like, it's right there. And then I went to an event with other people with albinism, and everybody does it. And it's like, we all just sort of independently came to the same conclusion. And so, you know, I think it's, personally, I have gotten an incredible amount out of connecting with other people who have vision impairments. And helping kind of work with them through their challenges and through my challenges. But also on the other end of that, like, I got an email from a family in Japan about how important Rebokeh is to their family and like how much they use it and how much they like it and what a big difference it's made for them. And like, I've never been to Japan. And it's incredible that the technology that our company has built is able to make that kind of an impact that far away, somewhere like none of us have ever been. So I do. I love it. I love getting to connect with people who are visually impaired, and it's fun.
Well, best of luck with it, Rebokeh. It's been an absolute joy to speak to you. I wish you all the best with it in the future, and we can't wait for the Apple Vision Pro app.
Absolutely, me too. Let's everybody or call on Apple. Let us use those forward-facing cameras.
Yes, absolutely.
We will do good with them. We will do good.
And just a reminder that you can get that app from the Apple App Store. Rebokeh, Rebokeh is how to spell that if you're searching for it in the Apple App Store. Go check it out and let us know your thoughts. You can email us feedback at doubletaponair.com. You can call us the old-fashioned way, 1-877-803-4567. You can find us across social media, and we'll catch you next time here on Double Tap on YouTube.